What up, fight fans? So we got word today from Amir Khan himself, as on May 30th, he's stepping back in the ring with none other than Chris Algieri. And obviously to the dismay of a lot of boxing fans who didn't really want to see this fight. And the fight at the helm for Amir Khan really is a fight with Kell Brook. And before I get to that, though, I'll explain, my opinion on that fight. But again, it's kind of funny that Chris Algieri, man, 3 straight fights is getting an opportunity, or at least I should say getting these opportunities. And at least from the Provodnikov fight, controversial decision, he got the win, and then it leaps right into a fight with Manny Pacquiao where he's completely dominated, dropped, I'll say 4 times. I think 2 of those knockdowns shouldn't have been knockdowns, but 4 knockdowns regardless. And now he's leaping into another big opportunity against Amir Khan, a younger, faster fighter, and a bigger fighter than Manny Pacquiao. Not so much a stronger puncher, but again, for Amir Khan though, this is you can't front. This is a step back. He got I would say probably his most impressive win, or as far as how he looked in the ring, against Devin Alexander. And from that point, man, you're thinking like, okay, well, he doesn't have a title, but I mean, fights with Keith Thurman, fights with, I would say, even a Maidana rematch would make a little more sense. Or, there's the whole Danny Garcia situation lying around as far as what's going to happen with him after he fights Lamont Peterson, if he comes out the victor. But Chris Algieri, like, of anybody, to me, I mean, I wouldn't even call him a dark horse, to be honest with you. And I mean, again, I don't see what this fight does for Amir Khan to raise his stock. But I'll say this. I personally didn't think the Kell Brook fight was going to happen right away. I think a lot of us, we see the pattern in boxing, and we understand to an extent what it means, or the steps into building a super fight. And as it stands right now, Kell Brook and Amir Khan is without a doubt the biggest fight that could be made in the UK, one of the biggest fights in boxing. But just like with other fights in the past, you want to maximize the potential of that fight. Now, the scary part about that situation is that, at least between both Amir Khan and with Kell Brook, Khan is the one that, you're afraid at some point he may get caught and then that fight is over with. Or at least it'd be over with right away. And you'd like to see both of these guys fight in their prime. So what I'll say is, ideally, and in a perfect world, or maybe at the rate things are going right now, as far as all these fights being made, I wouldn't be mad if Brook fights another fight in June. They're talking about Marquez, but I don't know what Marquez's situation is going to be with his knee. He may just call it quits. I mean, why are you gonna? I mean, look, man, Marquez is not out on the streets with his pockets out. I mean, he's a wealthy individual, so it's not like he needs this fight, man. I mean, and to be honest, man, if I think kind of like with Sergio Martinez, it's like, if you don't see that you can compete, man, at 100%, then don't even bother. I mean, and I would say that more for Marquez, because, I ain't somebody to talk about people's finances, but Marquez has obviously had, a much richer career as far as the money he's made in comparison to Martinez, to where him taking that Cotto fight was the biggest, money he'd ever made. So does Marquez make the biggest money against Kell Brook? Likely not, but maybe he'll take the fight. But if that fight doesn't materialize, like, I think Brook should get like a top 5 type fight. And again, like, I'm not a big fan of this Algieri fight, but what I will say, at least to back Khan, is that he has a bigger history fighting top level guys than Kell Brook does. So you got to kind of look at it from that aspect. So when Khan says things like, yeah, well, you know, who is he fight or whatever, I get it. But I think he also realizes that he is, you know, obviously the big elephant in the room when his name is mentioned. Now, the thing with the Khan, again, he wants that Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. And we don't know what's going to happen after this fight, you know, as far as, you know, with Mayweather-Pacquiao, as far as what happens afterwards. Because, I mean, for all we know, man, I mean, this fight could really be, I don't want to say a slugfest, but if it just takes a toll on both fighters, who's to say that they won't fight for the rest of the year? So what's Khan going to do? Wait a whole nother year? And you know, I think at that point, he should just take the Brook fight. I mean, you know, this is the shit that I hate with certain fighters. It's like they're waiting for like that big paycheck and what have you. But the thing with Khan, I'll say, is he has to create his own lane, man. He needs to stop fucking with Mayweather and Pacquiao and waiting for them to handle their shit. And he just needs to create his own lane. I mean, look, you can't tell me there isn't a fighter in boxing today that if you gave them the opportunity, knowing that they can't beat Mayweather or Pacquiao, of course they're gonna take the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like the money's just, even if it's like a $2-3 million fight for them, that's like the biggest money they ever made. With Khan, he wants like a $8-9 million fight per se, but to me, man, I think he just needs to create his own lane. Him and Kell Brook, like in the fall, and mind you, this is going past the whole Ramadan, you know, that Khan goes through, obviously, during the summertime. So in the fall, man, this isn't a fight that can't be made. And if both of them have lead-up fights, like I think what's going to happen with Cotto and Canelo, if they have lead-up fights, they have a fight in the fall, man. And as it stands from that point, Khan doesn't have a lot of fighters to fight as far as staying away from guys like a Keith Thurman or having a rematch with Danny Garcia, and a fight that I think he can win. The Brook fight, you want to strike while the iron's hot, and you don't want to make the mistake that Mayweather and Pacquiao made where, you know, we could have been looking at their third fight as opposed to their first, even though, you know, we're obviously all still just as excited, but I don't want them to make that mistake, you know, and I understand building the fight, and I think this is just a good opportunity to make it happen. Get each of them in a like a filler fight per se, and then have a huge fight in the UK at Wembley Stadium. You know, I talked to some people in the UK through some of the message boards and just some people individually. Now one person has told me that, or at least two of them told me like what I'm saying, as far as they should just have like one more fight and build that anticipation for the fight in the fall. I think Wembley Stadium would be close to a sellout, if not, you know, I mean, because you think about it, man. I mean, I don't think of a fight within the UK between two UK fighters that would draw that much attention, even now. But if they build that fight like within like the next few months, they have their fights, and then have a fight in the fall, shit could be huge, man. And if you think about it, man, in 2015, if we can get Mayweather, Pacquiao, Kovalev, Stevenson, hopefully if that whole situation plays out, Cotto, Canelo, and Brook versus Khan, that might be this might be the best year in boxing like in the last like 30-some years. But again, man, let's not overstep our bounds. Amir Khan versus Chris Algieri, May 30th. I think it's in New York. I could be wrong, but I did hear in the video Khan talk about that the fight is going to be in New York. He said like he wants to fight in New York. You know, I would think they maybe would make it well, I guess they would do it at the Barclays Center. That's where most of the fights are happening right now, especially if you're an Al Heyman fighter. So I guess we'll have to look forward to that. I don't know if that's going to be on Showtime. I mean, I don't think it's going to be HBO. But then again, Khan, I think, is still a golden boy, if I'm not mistaken. He's one of the only guys I think that's still in limbo. But regardless, it's a fight that, you know, Khan should be heavily favored in. You know, I don't see how he wouldn't be. you know, in Algieri at 147 hasn't really proven to have power even at 140. So, you know, it's a moderately safe fight for Amir Khan. But again, like, you're going to hear a lot of backlash towards Khan leading into the fight, and especially considering Kell Brook is calling him out. You know, he's I mean, if anything, him knocking out Algieri would be, I guess, like a step up and kind of like, you know, putting his nose up. But at the same time, man, they got to make this fight in the fall. I would love to see it. So we'll just have to wait and see. But like I always say, subscribe, hit the links, and I will be back with you soon. Peace.